from comedy as you get.
Right.
But then in Max Rose, I think we saw the real Jerry Lewis in two films,
Right.
King of Comedy and Max Rose. But
Right.
in Max Rose, we saw an older, vulnerable. Now he's vulnerable because
Right.
he's in his 90s and he's older.
Right.
And he has to rely. And by the way, Jerry played Vegas and worked on stage and did pratfalls into his 80s.
Yeah.
And people don't get that,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. He had
And
to stay. He had to stay true to what was people wanted to see.
yeah.
You know.
But you know what, Ange, though?
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question about that. Because
Yeah.
again, you're in his head.
Yeah.
And this is great insight for me. And for people who love Jerry Lewis movies and his 'cause I will tell you, I spoke to Jerry Lewis on the phone one time in my life. And
Okay.
it was during a muscular dystrophy telethon, and one of my coworkers died that night,
Wow.
and I had to go on and do a telethon.
Right.
Okay, and they got wind of it, and I got a phone call.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
because they're. Let me tell you something. When they tell you that they know what's happening everywhere, they ain't kidding. They know what's happening everywhere,
Exactly.
especially with the MDA.
Yeah.
But I digress. He could not have been kinder on the phone. But then I see interviews where he's basically berating this young reporter. Just the guy's doing his job, asking questions.
Yeah.
And Jerry was in one of them moods. He was like, one word answers, yep, nope, nope, yep,
Yeah. Yep.
and just looking at the guy like, you're a piece of shit, get out of my face.
Right.
You actually saw the picture tonight in that slideshow of that interview where he just looked miserable. He had a red sweater on and a yellow, shirt.
Yeah.
But because you're in his head and because he's now at that age in his life where he's vulnerable, was that his I know he's an actor, and yes, you take a certain amount of liberty, but knowing him the way you do, psychologically, mentally, was that his apology to the world? What was that movie to you?
No, I think it was showing. For me, now the movie was about that he thought. Correct me if I'm wrong. That he thought his wife was cheating on him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he lived this anger, only to find out she wasn't.
Right.
And he had to make peace with himself. Okay.
I got you. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
You said a great thing. Was that an apology? I don't think it was to the people. I think it was an apology to him because he gave up his whole family.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave his life to his second wife, who, in my opinion, as much as that he tells everybody, was his second arm.
Yeah.
In my heart of hearts, I don't believe that.
I never
believed that.
I never bought that. I still don't buy that idea.
No.
I think that was, can I be honest with you? I think it was a business decision. I think that marriage was a business decision.
I think, in my opinion, I think he was the first. I think his life of being of an infatuation had to stay in infatuation.
Yeah,
and he chose her. He was
that's a great
20 years older. He had to stay in that infatuation because there's a lot of rumors that he cheated on a lot of women.
Oh, more did he?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I only think he did that, and that was the power trip. But he was never infatuated. When she came along, he was the The older guy, the midlife crisis guy who needed a factuation that he never had. That's my opinion.
He had a young, but pretty young woman on his arm.
Right.
Of course.
But he makes it like she did everything for him.
Yeah.
Everything that was done for him was from Dean, Patty, his first wife, his kids being what they wanted him to be.
Yeah.
He let everybody go. Everybody. And he, I had a back and forth discussion with Anthony Lwis, his son.
Right.
And he found me on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook no more. He found me on Facebook, and he friended me and said, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
So I said, why do you get up every morning?
Yeah.
And he didn't answer me. So I said to him, I said, I'm doing this because you don't know nothing about me. You don't know why I do it.
Can I ask you though, Ange? It sounds like right away he took the attitude that his father would have taken.
Oh, he's just as bitter as his father. Just as bitter as his father. Because he thought not so much the money and the will, he never thought his father would leave him. Because he's watching a man every year do the MDA.
Yeah.
He's watching a man who's making people laugh every moment of the day.
Yeah.
He's watching a man who knows how to conduct business. He's watching a man who put 6, 7 kids together. He never thought he'd be this guy that would just get dropped. And Gary Lewis, who this guy who's writing the book is his manager, who's been his manager for many, many years. He's going to be, I don't know if he's going to have a partner's book, but he's going to talk about Gary and how he let his father go because he was the oldest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he came to an understanding. What really gave Gary to walk away, Jerry had a daughter named Susan who was homeless.
Yes.
And he never claimed her as the daughter.
I know.
Gary went to get the blood test, the DNA, found out it was the daughter, and that was the day Gary said, I don't want to have nothing to do with my father.
And I understand that, and I know Gary Lewis's story very well. The other thing that really concerned me is Jerry lost a son that people don't know about. He lost
drugs.
And he did not attend his son's funeral.
No.
And that is incomprehensible to me. To think that you brought this child into the world, but you won't even have the decency to escort him out of the world.
You know what I think, Ange? I think Jerry had I think he tried to do everything, but it was never really in him to do.
Yeah.
It's like the character.
Yeah.
When I found out that he stole the little boy and he made everybody believe he was this character.
Yeah.
I think he did that with everything in life. You got to remember, here's his partner.
That's
Dean
interesting. Can we? I'm going to stop you there. Can we discuss that?
Yeah.
Because you're not the first person who suggested that. I actually had this conversation with another tribute, not a Jerry Lewis tribute artist, but actually it was an Elvis tribute artist I had this conversation with. And this particular Elvis tribute guy was a big Jerry Lewis fan.
Wow.
Big Jerry Lewis fan. But he was honest enough to tell you that Jerry was a POS.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
In real life.
Yeah. I think
on the screen, when the camera turned red, he was there.
Right.
You know, he was ready to go.
Because he was a great pretender.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm getting at. And thank you for validating that. He was the quintessential actor.
Yeah.
Because he played a part his whole life. Here's my question to you.
Go ahead.
In the long run, because we're coming down to the end of the show.
Okay.
In the long run, did that help him or hurt him?
Hurt him.
As a performer, B,
Okay.
as a person, C, as a societal icon?
All the above, because
Uh,
he couldn't he didn't know the difference of one from the other.
And you're right. And I believe that.
He didn't know the difference. And you
Yeah.
understand too, he grew up with a guy, Dean Martin, who had 8 kids.
Yeah.
And he was the guy who had dinner with his kids all the time. Here's
Yeah.
a man, when the story is, when he was coming home, Patty Lewis would say, "Your father's coming home." They all scattered. They were afraid of him
They were scared to death of him. Yeah.
because they didn't know who he was going to pretend that night to be.
Yeah.
See, they say, they don't use that word. They didn't know who he was going to be. Mine is,
Yeah.
who is he going to be? The comic or the straight man?
Well, yeah. Who was going to show? Which Jerry was going to show
Going
up?
to show
that
up.
night?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I believe, sadly to say, his movies impacted the Jerry Lewis fans. You know, this is what's
absolutely.
sad. This is what's sad for me. When I was
Yeah.
on Facebook, I joined the Jerry Lewis fan pages, and there was like 3, 4 of them. And I would do something, put up of it. They didn't like that I was doing that.
Oh, God forbid. Yeah. Yeah.
And I looked at it like, so who are you really engaged with? The character or the
Yeah.
man Jerry? So,
Brother,
if
I
you
got
don't-
news
if-
for you. What you're experiencing, what you went through, is why I don't join. I joined an Elvis group. Everybody knows I'm a big Elvis fan. I joined an Elvis group. There are people, Angelo, who don't think the man shit. Okay,
Yeah,
there are people who think he didn't take a crap.
exactly.
That he was a deity.
Right.
Okay,
And-
and that's where Jerry is. He falls into that.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
And his fans, they can't separate the pretending what made them have joy. Listen,
Yeah.
Jerry Lewis didn't give him, that man didn't give joy. He was a businessman.
Yes.
The
of
only
course.
joy you learned from him was his movies.
Yeah.
And half those people who were in the movies, they never seen him live on a stage like me. They wouldn't think of going to see him. They were happy with his movies because they were laughing and they were enthralled of seeing someone who was different. He was different from everybody else. But they weren't that person that ran to go see him, because if they seen who he was on stage, they'd be hesitant.
Yeah.
And why I say that, I threw that out to people. Did you ever see him live? Well, no. Well, how could you be a fan? No. A fan is everything that this man did, you know of what he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the difference.
Mhm.
I am a fan, but I'm not a fan of Jerry Lewis the man. I'm a fan of what he did to make me laugh.
Exactly.
And made me feel that I'm okay to laugh at myself.
Absolutely. And that's the essence of why we go to the movies.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Now, here, I'll give you what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I think he became a pantomimer in his early age. Now, I did pantomime because I had a real disorder.
Yeah.
I pantomime because it was easy to lip sync, and even if I made a mistake, it didn't matter because it was funny. I think Jerry pantomimed because he didn't know how to be. He became somebody else already.
Yeah.
He pantomimed whatever that record was. He pantomimed whoever was talking on that record. He became someone else because I don't believe he knew who he really was his whole life. That's my
He
opinion.
made himself the butt of the joke because he didn't know any better. I don't think he knew any better, to be honest.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think.
I really believe that.
You don't leave the world. Listen, we all have our faults. We all have our scars. We all have our callings. But Jerry was, in my opinion, in the end, was a mess.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
He was a mess.
Absolutely. He sure was.
You know,
I don't think in his later 80s until, because he passed it at age 91.
right.
In his middle to latter 80s, I saw a man struggling to find himself before he went on to meet
Exactly.
God.
Mhm.
And then
I mean that.
when
To
I
the
seen
point,
him,
Angelo, to the point where he actually sat. Now, Jerry was a Jew,
right,
but he actually sat down and did an interview with the Christian Broadcasting Network.
right,
And they talked to him about faith and God
right,
and all this. And he cried during that interview
right,
several times because they they made him human. They made him feel his humanity. And the interviewer, God bless him, was absolutely on target. He never, did the goo goo gaga card, oh, I'm
Mhm.
here with Jerry Lewis. And,
right,
and he just kept it straight. And he was
right.
the interviewer, and that's what he did. And I think that humbled Jerry.
Well, I'm going to give you my opinion. When
Mhm.
he was in his emotions, I think he was feeling that he was lost. I
I
think he
believe that.
I think they hit a nerve in him. Like, I don't know what I really believe in. I don't
Yeah,
know who I really believe in. Because if he really did believe, what did Patty, his wife, made him?
yeah, yeah.
He was his. She was his helpmate. She was born to be a helpmate. A woman is a helpmate to the man. There was
Right,
no greater helpmate than her. He didn't know who she was.
right.
He couldn't even understand who she was.
Nope.
So when this new one came and she was younger, he didn't see who she was. He was infatuated that he could be with someone that would give him this live infatuation again. That's my opinion.
And I think you are spot on with that.
And
And
also, do you think that also toward the end, his last movies, that he said, "Okay, I made a commitment to these movies. I'm just going to go ahead and stick to it and finish these movies as well."
well,
Say that again, Amelia. I want to make sure that the
understood
people
that.
at
Yeah.
home
Yeah,
understand.
yeah. Toward the end, you said that he really wasn't into making the movies. Do you think that he said he thought to himself, "Okay, I already made a commitment to making the movies. I'm just going to go ahead and make them and be done with them"?
Here's the thing. You see, you're saying he made a commitment. He had no choice. He had nothing else.
Exactly.
He had
Mhm.
nothing else. He had to stay Jerry Lewis
Mhm.
from 1946 when he met Dean. He had to stay that person.
Mhm.
And how do you know that? Dean had one interview. He said, I will, he talked about, I was the guy that when Jerry said something, I just agreed, but I had to move on. One interview. Jerry,
Yeah.
every interview had to get to the place where he had to say, Dean Martin this, Dean Martin that, Dean
Right.
Martin this, because
Mhm.
he knew he was nothing without
Right.
him. And he proved that. He proved that in
Hmm.
1970 when he realized that boy is gone, he had to go on another road. So what he did was he just found himself being a celebrity. To me, he wasn't the superstar anymore. He was just the celebrity. Dean is the superstar. Frank was the superstar. But when I seen Dean walk on in 1976, I believe Dean and Frank had such a love for this lost guy that
Yeah.
made that Dean knew they if it wasn't for him, they both wouldn't have been where they would have been.
Exactly.
And I
I
think
don't.
they're
I don't
pity.
think you could have had a Jerry Lewis without a Dean Martin.
Yes, they were the lightning in the bottle. It can't happen
Yeah.
if one of them was missing. The lightning would have never happened.
Nope.
But
You're right.
Dean proved to the world because of his humanity and his regular person that was in him. Jerry never knew who he was. That's the
No.
sad part. And
Yeah.
that's what gives me the encouragement
Mhm.
that I know I am that little boy. That character, people
Mhm.
get mad. I had someone say to me, the guy who's writing the book,
Yeah.
you wrote Angelo Capone is Jerry Lewis. You got to take that is away because you're not him. I said, no, I want to tell you something. Jerry Lewis saying Angelo Capone.
Right.
I say is because That was my. I just gave you a whole interview. That's my character. You just told me it wasn't. So
Yeah.
who is Jerry Lewis?
Well, that was the first thing I did when you came on the show the first time. I put it right out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did.
Angelo Capone is Jerry Lewis.
And he says that's going to ruin my career. I want to say, well, what career do I have? I'm trying to still get there. So you're only talking in defense for him. I'm trying to talk the truth about him, and you're the one that's coming out with a truth book. So you better think about what you just said, because that was contradictory to me. Because
Ange, we got a couple people, Angelo, in the chat room tonight.
Oh, cool.
Michael McGee says, I saw him in person on Theater Row in Dallas, Texas. It was either at the Majestic Theater or the Tower in Southeastern premiere of The Nutty Professor. He was talking about his motel film. I guess whatever that means.
Right.
Don't forget the Third Archives is restoring his only 3D film, the 3D Archives. I'm sorry. Don't forget that the 3D Archives is restoring his only 3D film, Money from Home, to be released by Kino Lorber soon, including Anagraph Visions. I don't know. Is that a film company, Michael? Michael McGee, is that a film company? What's the deal on this 3D film? I've never heard of it, and I thought I've heard them all.
Oh, I lost you.
Uh-oh. So hopefully come back on.
Oh, Angelo. Oh, Angelo. We lost Angelo. Oh, where'd Angelo go?
Oh, I lost you, and then he disappeared.
I hope you come on back, Ange. Oh, I don't. Where my guests, ladies and gentlemen, just we lost them here
for a second. I don't know if he's having bad weather where he's at, but I know we're having real bad thunderstorms here. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, Amelia. Why don't you do this while we're here?
Here he comes.
Everybody. Here he is.
I'm back.
There he is. I was like, whoa, Angelo took a powder on us.
Yeah, no, I lost. I don't know what happened.
I was just about to tell everybody.
Okay.
Why don't we bring it back up here? Here we go. Angelo Capone is one of the premier Jerry Lewis tribute artists. If you ever get a chance to see him, and who is your partner doing Dean?
Robert Cabela.
I know Bob from Facebook. Yeah. Robert Cabela is an incredible song stylist in his own right, but he does a spot-on Dean Martin impression. You got to hear this kid. I think a kid, he's a guy. You want to hear him for sure. If they are in a town near you, particularly in the East Coast, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania area, go see them. Spend the $50 or $60 or whatever it is. It's worth the money. I'll attest to it. I will absolutely attest to it. So what do you got coming up, Ange? Promote any engagements you got.
Right now, I will be sending you the theater one. I'll text it to you. But right now, we're doing all private gigs for hire. We got 8 shows in the next month or two. Maybe tomorrow we might even have more. But they're all private, like Italian American clubs and this and that. So right now, the public is not getting us. But we're working on that so we can get out there. And I'm working with a 9-piece band. We want to bring the authenticity of realness of how Dean and Jerry were on stage with a live band.
Yeah.
And that should really put us over the top because nobody's doing what we're doing.
Is that the Starlight Orchestra you're working with?
Yes, the Starlight Orchestra. I was going to mention that. And they are so good. I mean, and what was great about them is, they were a big band.
Yeah,
back, like the dance band of the 40s. And I was sitting one day and I said, the end of COVID, you know what? I'm going to get a band. I don't know how this is going to happen. I'm going to get a band. I Googled band. They came up.
There you go.
Within 5 minutes, I had that band. Oh. And they said, all we do is dance, swing music. I've been wanting to take this band and do a show. I said, well, you ain't going to get a better show than Dean and Jerry.
Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah.
So what we did, what we did, guys I work with, we invested in all the arrangements. We made our own arrangements. So
Mm-hmm.
you're going to hear live, good swing arrangements, not the dance type 40 music. You're going to hear Count Basie. You're going to hear the Duke Ellingtons. You're going to hear that Buddy Rich arrangement to the Dean songs. And what's great is for me, when Jerry does the cigar, the Count Basie cigar, I'm doing it live now with the band.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Sure.
so we're bringing something to the stage that has never been. And
Right.
there is a Dean and Jerry out there. They were together 15 years. One guy is from Australia, the other guy's from Vegas. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, I
And I know both of them. I know who they are.
I don't believe in ever knocking anybody. Get on stage alone is an accomplishment.
Absolutely.
But I don't consider ourselves them. They are not what we do. The Jerry
Right.
is not how I perceive Jerry. So I applaud them.
Yeah.
But our
Well, let's
Jerry and
be
Dean,
honest about it too. The guy playing Jerry is substantially larger than Jerry. In
Yeah.
fact, this guy is bigger than Dean.
yeah, I mean, like, and for me, you know, I get he's your imitator,
He's an impersonator.
right? And that's why I always say I'm not an impersonator. I channel in because
And the
I
guy
have
that's
something.
working with him is also an impersonator.
Exactly.
He's a professional impersonator.
Exactly. And where my Robert Cabela, he just sings. He knows
Yeah.
how to get Dean. And that's why I think right now I try to let them. I sat down, Rob. I said, Rob, we haven't been together. We went our own separate ways, but I believe we're supposed to be together. Well, let me just give you 2 seconds.
Go, I'll give you all the time you want, brother.
When my wife said to me, go out and do Jerry, I was like, well, how am I going to do this? She says, you'll figure it out. Yeah. I was like, okay. I put in the variety paper looking for a Dean Martin. 2 days later, the phone rings. 2 days. It's Robert Cabela. Oh, listen, I'm a Dean. I was working with a guy, a Jerry, who was a good Jerry, this and that. And I know who he is. He's a great guy. Me and him, we get along. We feed each other. Again, he's an impersonator. Yeah. He's not the channeler. He says, listen, it's going to be you and me. Now, I'm sitting there going, all right, I got to learn this now. I meet him. The mistake was he thought it'd be better we do a Frank, Sammy, and a Jerry. That was the mistake for for us to be together down the road. Because now we're missing in between Dean and Jerry's act for everybody's act, Sammy's act, Sinatra's act.
Sure.
And then I'm playing with them. So what happened was we did a 2-year tour in Florida. We were successful. And I'm learning my character. Then we all went our own ways. We split up. And when we split up, COVID came in. I said, now I'm going to learn to do. That's how I came up with the Kelf family and the Be My Love and more with the Carmen, with the dress and this and that.
Sure.
I went to him. I said, listen, let's do it my way. He didn't want to do it my way because we just split up for him to go do his way. Yeah. So I let it go. I had to find out that
COVID gave you the opportunity to work on your act.
Beautiful. COVID was a blessing more than a curse.
Yeah.
It was more of a blessing. So as time was going on, I knew I was better if we were together. He came to realize it would have been good if it was just me and him. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take a shot.
Well, when you do that kind of show, Ange, I mean, let's be honest, Dean Martin performed solo, Jerry performed solo. But you said it earlier in the show, the two of them together was lightning in a bottle.
That's it.
That was the magic. It was the two of them playing off each other like you and your other partner used to, the one I saw.
Right. Okay. And the thing was, we had to be separate to know that we were better together.
And I believe that happens for a reason. You got to understand how good you are together. And the only way to do that is to have time apart.
Right.
You gotta have time apart to
Exactly.
really understand who you are as a performer.
And
Think about it. Abbott and Costello,
right,
Martin and Lewis, the Marx Brothers, the Ritz Brothers, the Stooges.
you're right.
Okay? There
Yep.
were 5 different variations of the Stooges, but no 3 guys were the Stooges like Larry, Moe, and Curly.
Exactly.
That
And
was the Stooges.
And what made that understanding was that that separate time made me realize when we were on stage, we were more competition than we were performing to each other.
As it should be.
Right.
So when I said to him, "Don't you miss performing?" He goes, "Yeah, but do you know that I'm saying that we need to perform to each other?" When that bell went off, now that's what we do. We perform to each other.
But you know what? There's something to be said, though, about the competition angle. And I'm going to tell you why. And I believe in competition. It makes both of you better.
Right.
The competition, if you're trying, if Robert is singing, everybody loves somebody. Okay. And you're, whatever, you're waiting to come on. Well, guess what? You could just do what Jerry would. You could come on anytime you want.
Right.
And throw a zinger in there and just see how Robert handles it.
Right.
That's competition.
Right.
How good can he handle what I throw at him?
Right.
That's competition. That makes us better.
And that's what we did. That's what we came to understand. Like before we were stepping on each other, versus that we were in competition to make us better together.
Exactly.
That's the difference. We were stepping on each other because we were like trying to be solo artists. No, we're a team here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Us separating, realize, you know what? We were better together, and we were better without Sinatra and Sammy. It was supposed to be the beginning of just you and me. So now I said to him, I said, the only way we're going to know this is let's go do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it the right way. Let's
do
go
it
the right way.
Do a couple of shows. You do a small show.
Right.
You do 100 people.
Right.
And then you see what kind of feedback you get. Then you get a bigger room. Then you get a nice theater.
Right.
Before you know it, you're playing, MetLife Stadium.
And here we are. A few months ago, we did our first show together back, and now we got 8 shows we booked within 2 months.
God bless you, brother.
So we're saying, okay, the door's opening. Now we're going to take the next step. We're going to get the band. He was like, Ange, whatever you want to do, I'm with you. See, I didn't hear that before.
Yeah.
It was, what are we going to do?
You never want to work with somebody that's going to limit your creativity. I'll tell you what, brother. It's been amazing having you back on. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to plug everything you want to plug. Well, then I got to throw it over to Amelia.
You got it. I'll send you the information when I get out there in the public. But just this video alone will get out there. It'll be plenty for me right now.
Brother, we have pushing 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Amelia, blow Angelo's mind. How many subscribers on the radio do we have?
11 million.
11.4 mil.
So anybody's listening right now, all I need is one person, one person to get us where we got to go, and we'll do the rest.
And
when we go off the air, I'm going to give you some information, so don't go nowhere. I'm going to
and when you start doing your public touring, you need to come back to Florida.
Oh, listen, we want to get to Florida in the worst way.
Yes.
Our audience is there. Our audience is there.
Oh, absolutely. Florida is prime for you, brother.
Oh, forget about it.
Florida is prime for you.
Because I will be there.
Let me just tell everybody, Angelo Capone is not on social media. If you want to reach him, it's very simple. Face-to-face productions at gmail.com or face-to-face611 at AOL.com.
And I do have a Facebook. I do have a YouTube, Angelo Face-to-Face Productions Entertainment. You'll see my stuff there.
There you go. On YouTube. Perfect.
On YouTube.
And Amelia, what's coming up for us?
Well, tomorrow we are going to be doing the Wrestling with the Future show. We are going to be doing the Vince McMahon lawsuit.
The Vince McMahon lawsuit. This guy, it shows you that a billionaire with too much money and too much time is a dangerous commodity.
Absolutely.
Dangerous commodity. What else we got coming up?
Monday the 11th, we're going to be talking about a murder mystery in Georgia.
Fascinating. Tell everybody what kind of like a short version.
Well, the lady that we're going to be talking about was actually thought of committing suicide. That's what is. It's not really on her death certificate, but she's a right-handed lady, but bought a left-handed gun, committed suicide.
Yeah, they're saying that this woman committed suicide. They found the gun in the wrong hand, Ange.
But that's all we're going to talk about.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that one. What else we got coming up?
And then you're gonna have a show with Dan Ely, who actually knew Paul McCartney.
Yep, my friend Dan Ely, who knows Paul McCartney, and we just lost one of the founding member of Paul McCartney and Wings, Denny Lane. And Dan knew Denny very, very well till his passing this year. We will talk to Dan next week, along with internationally known musician Billy Dyer will be with me as well.
Nice.
So Dan and Billy will be here talking about Denny Lane and Paul McCartney.
Yes.
And of course, Denny Lane, by the way, if you don't remember, was the founding member of the Moody Blues.
Wow.
I remember that. That was the guy that put the Moody Blues together. What else we got, Neil?
And the 13th, we're going to be talking about the territory system of wrestling, actually, with Wrestling with the Future again.
You're going to have a guest on. Who you got on the
Princess Victoria.
And we've got, you ready for this? Angelo Capone. I got one for you. Your name is perfect for this one. Capone. It's great.
Go ahead.
I got a mob show coming up with the former John Gotti close friend and associate, member of the Gambino crime family, former member, I should say, of the Gambino crime family, Lwis Big Lou Ferranti will be here talking about how the mob played into the JFK and Jimmy Hoffa murders. So, and there's a lot of people that say they know where Jimmy Hoffa went. I think I do too. I don't think he ever left that car, brother. I don't think he ever left that car. That's going to be a good show.
Yes.
Going to be a good show. What else we got coming, Neil? When is Ronnie Marmo coming
on
back?
the 26th, we're going to be talking to Ronnie Marmo.
My friend, Ronnie Marmo, actor, playwright, producer. He owns a theater in New York and one in L.A. Ronnie can be seen. You can watch him in I'm Not a Comedian, I'm Lenny Bruce. He fabulously played Lenny Bruce. And you've seen him with Joe Montana, his close friend Joe Montana, in Criminal Minds. Great actor. He will be back with us for a second time. And we got some other big surprises coming up that we're not quite ready to spill the beans on yet, but they're big ones. They are big ones. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us in the chat. I appreciate everybody who was with us tonight. For Amelia, the Pitbull Chapman. For Angelo Capone.
Thank you
I'm
so much.
Jerry Lewis.
Yes.
I am the Mad Dog, Angelo DeCipio. I will see you tomorrow night, folks, on Wrestling with the Future. Take care. God bless everybody. Be
God
good.
bless everybody.
Right.
Thank you.
Good night.